So let me just summarize. I don't view a clock, but let me finish with a summary. So bear this in mind when you think about the takeaway messages I started with. We now have some more detail. I would argue, and I haven't done it very convincingly, that we need bulk thermoelectric materials for generating electricity at high temperatures. That's because we want large temperature gradients. You can't do that with a very thin material. You need large thicknesses. It's important for the future to seek thermoelectrics based on earth-abundant, non-toxic elements. They exist. They're not the best thermoelectrics yet, but we've only been working on them for a few years. Today's high ZT materials are ideal for low temperatures. But you probably know the saying about why bank robbers rob banks. Anyone know why bank robbers rob banks? That's where the money is. High temperatures is where the thermal energy is. So if you want to harness thermal energy, you should work at high temperatures. The other point is that the natural oxides already, superlastics exist. They're resistant to coarsening, and they have the advantage that they are compositional dependent, not processing dependent. So you can change the grain size, for instance, by processing, but you can't change this distance between the layers. And although I haven't described it very in detail, they provide an opportunity to independently study and control electron and phonon transport in these materials. In most materials, you can't do that. And I haven't said anything about doping, which we can do. But the way to think about this in terms of contemporary ideas is there's a great deal of interest in two-dimensional semiconductors, tungsten diselenide, tungsten disilicide, graphene, etc. We have the same situation here, except it's embedded in the bulk, so you can support these structures. I'm not going to try and persuade you that they have as good mobility and other interesting electronic properties, but in many respects, they're intriguing materials in their own right. So let me just finish by telling you who's done most of this work. Xin Liang, who's a student of mine, is now a professor at Changzhou University. He's working on these types of materials. Sami Mojaron, who's a spectroscopist. He didn't want his picture shown. He's somewhat older. And Taylor Sparks, who's now a professor at the University of Utah. So with that, let me thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for the opportunity